Well, good evening. It's Nigel Donovan here, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about how habituation forms. In other words, how habits form and why they are so tough at times to notice and to address. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the behaviour patterns that emerge in people. I talked in a previous blog about how people can develop patterns of avoidance when they're stressed or tired and busy. If you're under pressure, if you're running a large organisation or have got a lot of responsibility, and you are constantly under pressure and you are constantly stressed, or you're getting very tired and you're very, very busy, your to-do list is long and your time is short, then you can develop patterns of avoidance. And these are things like being a little bit less flexible, a little bit more autocratic, a little bit hypersensitive to fairness, a little bit self-protective. There's a whole bunch of behaviours that emerge that you can see in a previous blog when people are feeling tired and busy and stressed. But then people think, well, why are people like that all the time when they're not stressed? Why, when they're on holidays or having a barbecue, can they still be knuckleheads? Behaviours habituate. All of our behaviours habituate. Not just smoking, drinking and whatever else we're gambling, the bad habits everyone knows about, but all of our habits, all of our behaviours are habituated to a large extent. So let's have a little look at how that works, okay? Habits emerge over time, and our bad habits emerge over time too. No one sets down and sets out a plan, a little goal worksheet to become addicted to gambling, or to become addicted to procrastination via checking email, or addicted to meetings for no reason. The bad habits that we have that set us back or get in the way of our productivity and our go forward are not things we plan. They just emerge over time. You do things enough times and repeat things enough times, and that's just what happens. All right? Your brain forms up a model of the world, and that's how you navigate the world. So before we get cranky and judgy about ourselves or other people's bad habits, let's remember that no one did it on purpose. They may have been a bit careless, perhaps. They may have made some bad choices. They may have made a series of bad choices. But either way, no one sets out to form bad habits on purpose. How do habits form? Well, the simplest, most direct way, there is a stimulus, there is a routine, there is a reward. Stimulus being, we go out to a party and we're socialising with friends. The routine is the talking and the drinking and in some cases the smoking, whatever your circle of friends do. And then over time, you get a reward for that, by the way, which is a party, a fun night, everyone's having a great time. Then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. Cue plus routine gets a reward. Do that often enough, and that becomes habituated. Let's look at how that works in a real sense. There's a great book, The Power of Habit, which I recommend everyone read. It's a really nice, concise description of how important and how pervasive habits are. And this example I'm using here comes straight from that book, from Charles Duhigg. So here it is. We've got a mouse in a maze, typical stuff, okay? Click, there's a barrier there you can see. There's a little clicking sound, and that opens the barrier, and the mouse can walk through the maze. Goes to the first section curiously, goes around the corner and finds some chocolate, eats some chocolate, happy mouse. Okay? So let's look about how the brain of this mouse works. This is a measure of how aroused, if you like, the mental activity of the mouse is, how curious the mouse is, I guess. And when it hears the click, you can see quite a rise where it first hears that click because, hey, what's this? This is a funny sound, I don't know this. And then it explores the maze. First section, what's going on here, what's going on here, don't know this area, a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, curious, curious, curious. Second section, a bit curious, curious, curious. Haha, found some chocolate, happy days, gets a reward. So we have cue, the click, routine, walk through the maze, reward, the satisfaction of eating some chocolate. Now, after a few routines, after it gets used to this system, the mouse's brain learns the good bits. So it gets aroused when it hears the click. Haha, this is a click, we walk through the maze and we can find some chocolate. It gets bored by walking through the maze because the routine isn't interesting. The routine is, well, it's routine. That's kind of the term, right? So it walks through the maze and then it gets to the chocolate and gets the reward of the chocolate. So in our parlance, cue of the click of the door, routine, explore the maze, reward, chocolate. And you can see how the brain activity reduces when you're doing something that you know well and that is not very interesting in its own right. You'll do it to get to the reward. Okay? So we have a cue. When this happens, click, I walk through the maze and I get a reward. Now what can happen is your body is very good at cutting corners, and it hears the click and gets the reward often after doing the routine. It kind of assumes you're going to do the routine. All right? So what happens after a while, you hear the cue, your body pays you in advance the dopamine or the hit of satisfaction, the reward. You kind of get paid in advance emotionally. And then you've got to just do the routine to kind of catch up. It's almost like your body, you hear the cue and your body writes your emotions a check and says, here you go, get paid in advance. And now you just got to do the routine and we're all squared up, okay? Which is why when you can walk past, if you're addicted to gambling, say, you walk past a pub with poker machines, you see and hear the ding, ding, ding and the flashing lights. That's the cue. The reward is paid. You get the emotional payoff you would get from playing. And then you get this craving because you've got to fulfill the payment. Your body's written, you've got to fill the IOU of the routine. So it's really hard to stop at that point. So two things are happening here. One, you don't think about the routine as much because you don't need to think about the routine. And the second thing is your body kind of craves and prefers you to do the routine even if you know the routine is a bad one. This is true of gambling. It's also true of procrastination. It's also true of not minding what you say in a meeting. It's also true of all your habituated responses to things. So if you've developed some avoidant behaviours, or some of your team have developed avoidant behaviours, some of these ones on the left, and there's a whole long list longer than that, and they've developed this over time because of short or longer periods of stress and tired and busyness. If you had a long period of change and disruption in your sector, for example, then people are likely to start behaving like this a lot of the time, and they're likely to not even notice that they're doing it. And they're kind of likely to prefer behaving that way because their body writes this check and says, that's how we behave. That's who I am. I'm just being myself. And so this way of being that's not fun to be in or around kind of feels like that's the way of being that they have to have. And I've had a number of clients over the years who have thanked me, and one of the things that sticks out with some of those thanks, thank you for getting the old me back again. Thank you for making it fun again. All right. Now, they did all the work. They're thanking me, but they did all the work, right? And that's because they've been able to go from patterns of avoidance to patterns of approach. If you see avoidant behaviours in your people and you want to learn more about that, well, you can find me there. Otherwise, I hope you found this interesting and fun. Cheers. Bye.